And Kim, I'm so excited to just amplify everything that you're doing, that you've done. I think it's most exciting connected to the stages you've been on, the best-selling book that you have, another one that's about to drop on today, actually, if you're listening to this show live. It's not yet, but for everybody who's tuned into the podcast right now, it's dropping on April 11th, and it is going to be your new best friend for scaling and really the ultimate shift that we all need to make in life. So Kim, welcome to the Fit Faith podcast.
Oh my gosh. Thank you so much for having me. I've been looking forward to this and I can't wait for this chat.
It's going to be so good because we have so much in common, not just between family and faith, but also business. And that's such a rare collide. And I say rare, I think a lot of people have like an understanding of a God and they just don't necessarily infuse it the way that we do in the way that we show up. And so I'm thankful for that synergy. And I know that's what people are here to tune into for today as well.
Yeah. I mean, bringing all those pieces. And I think a lot of people have those components, but they don't necessarily live them all out at the same time.
Right. Like they have those separate entities of self. It's like, let me put this hat on, then this hat on, then this hat on. And I love that we don't have to have a facade of one or the other. They can all coexist and there doesn't have to be friction in it.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more.
So good. Well, I want to share a little bit about you. And then when I share that, I want to dissect it because I love reading bios and I love knowing the backstory at the same time, because I think people get the bio element and they're like, wow, she's like behind the scenes of all things Kevin O'Leary, which I saw riding his bike in Miami last time I was there. It was so funny. And then Dan Kennedy and Profit First, who doesn't have that book on their bookshelf if they're an entrepreneur, and some of the incredible things that you've done, been alongside Grant Cardone, me too, Tony Robbins, Barbara Corcoran. I mean, the list really goes on. And I want to know where you were before even maybe those visions or those stages or those invitations existed, because taking any company from 32 to 11,000 in less than a year was probably supersonic for you too.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, I grew up like we all did, with the only way my family brought in extra money was to work more hours. I had a stay-at-home mama and my dad worked for the government and he was in the army. And so if he was going to bring extra money in, he had to pick up side hustles. So I grew up thinking the only way I was ever going to make more money was to work more hours. So when I had my original company that I was doing marketing and PR for clients, I was paid individually by clients to run their marketing work. And what happened was I wasn't getting paid very much. We would get like $350 a month per client to do their ads and their social. And we were struggling because we couldn't afford to pay the team to do it. And I couldn't do all the work. And so the first thing we did was just start charging more. The second thing we did was to claim our space in the market to say we are the leading expert in this. And the third thing was to start leveraging more marketing and less one-on-one reach outs to try to get more clients, stop relying upon word of mouth and referrals. And it's really then that I started getting really big accounts like Kevin O'Leary, like Dan Kennedy, Hilton Hotels, Harley Davidson, the number one internet communication company in the world, the Tissalat. I got to go to Dubai and work with them. And so a lot of really cool stuff happened, but the challenge was it was still requiring physical labor basically to do work. We were only getting paid for the work we did. I didn't productize. I didn't group anything. And there was this one night that I was putting my daughters to bed that I just kind of called up to God and said, God, can you just freeze time for a second? I don't want to miss them growing up. And it was in that moment when I was not expecting an answer that God spoke back and said, Kim, I don't need to freeze time. You need to be more present. And I was like, oh, snap.
Like, thank you, correction.
I know. And I was like, oh my gosh, yes. So I happened to, at that point, be listening to Russell Brunson's book, Expert Secrets, on my morning run. And I was like, I'm like, okay, I'm going to find the answer. I'm like, all right, God, you have to show me how to do it. And it was in that book, just the next morning, I heard him say he did one webinar over 100 times to get it right. And that's the only thing he did to grow his business. I'm like, that's what we're going to do. I'm going to do a webinar. And I did a webinar and I did it 119 times.
That's
I
amazing.
know, till it like got perfect. And I used it to get clients in on autopilot so I could get off sales calls and I could get out of marketing. And I used to sell courses so it could have something that I could create once and sell it over and over again. And it worked so well that I had 3 people offer to buy my marketing agency. I sold it. I started my new business. And what we made a commitment on was like, we're only going to do things that are scalable, no more one-on-one.
Yeah.
Everything's going to allow me to be done with my day. So like, as soon as I'm done here with you, I'm going back to my daughter's school because I'm a coach for their Girls on the Run team.
So
Like
cool.
everything is based on that time and money freedom now. Yeah.
Which is so brilliant. And I wish people could grab onto sooner, but there is this like transitional period of like unlearning and then stepping in. And there is a fear and faith piece to that, right? Like you have to step out in faith to know that, oh my gosh, I'm letting go of this high ticket one-on-one experience and my time connected to said experience in order to try this new scalability feature. And I'm really in the midst of that right now. And so I'm saying it out of a knowing and also of a doing connected to it.
And you can have faith and fear at the same time. There's actually a really good TD Jakes video that one of my clients sent to me recently with that very topic, because it's okay to be scared, but it's not okay to have regrets. And it sounds like, and so I did it in 3 months. I sold it. I will tell you, God spoke into my heart for 10 years before I got the courage to sell my business. 10 years. Wow. And it was so much better when I did that actually solidified my faith. Now, when I get that whisper, I'm like, okay, we don't wait 10 years anymore.
Yeah.
Right. But it is when you like finally are paying the bills well, to let go of all that is so scary. But we did. And that's what 32 clients are paying us millions of dollars. But I went from 32 clients to 11,000 and got my life back.
Come on. It's so good. And when you sold that company and then stepped into the new one, did you go right back into the webinar model or did you try something different?
Yeah. So absolutely. We use a majority of the money I got for selling my company. I used to buy Facebook ads and send them right into that webinar.
Yeah. Wow, that had already been pre-created before. Wow. So you didn't have to reinvent the wheel, even though you had just sold the company. It was still you. You're still you. So they couldn't buy you. They just bought.
We just had the agency part gone. So it only was for the course. Yeah. And then I was able to give the webinar model to the company I sold. So I didn't have to even do consulting with them after I sold it. They just wanted that lead machine. Yeah.
Wow. That's incredible. And so is this what the concept of your book is, On the Shift, or is this a whole nother thing that you've learned in the meantime?
So that is one of the concepts we go into there. And in fact, I give you every slide in my winning webinar blueprint is in the book. Every slide, the script, the imagery, how to use it. But it's more than just that, because it's also about how do you have the right message to attract your right fit clients? Where do you get the people from? In chapter 6 of the book, the whole chapter is over 100 lead generation ideas, none of which are paid advertising, that you can do to scale your business. And I also include strategies on how to use persuasion in your auditory and videos to get them to enroll. So whether or not you ever use a webinar, the book, The Shift, will give you strategies you can use to multiply your impact, multiply your income without sacrificing you.